Thank you so much for joining us today for the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. Here on the Pastor's Potluck, it's similar to a normal potluck where you might get something that you want and there may be something that you just want to pass up altogether. And that's okay. There's something here for everybody. Our goal here is to encourage you and maybe in the process entertain you. If you're ready, let's dig in. Welcome to another episode of the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. If you're watching this, sorry, I'm just turning on my phone to do not disturb because it is inevitable that anytime we record this, the individual that I am married to is going to call me. Mm-hmm. It's just part of it.
Something will happen for sure.
And if it's catastrophic, it'll just be like blow up my phone. Which is exciting. There's always something crazy going on. Like if you got kids. And
Yep. When you got kids, you just never know.
Dude, you never know. Like earlier this week, like your kids, like y'all had to pick them up early and they were just extremely sick. I found out yesterday that my son is like on the verge of like tearing his ACL, which is crazy.
So crazy.
And so we had to pull him out of sports and yeah, it's unreal. Like it's so unpredictable whenever you have kids.
Yep. I think life just is unpredictable in general, but throw in any extra parts like kids, pets, whatever.
Yeah.
Like house, cars.
Yeah.
Anything. You just never know what can happen. But
I know. It's kind of like our mystery meat jar.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, life, what do you have? Let me open this thing out and shake out some random stuff that I don't want to deal with right now. So, but it's all good. We are going to be discussing one of the, I want to say it's probably the heartbeat of what we do here at Southridge. It is just so super important and critical for anybody that is a part of any church anywhere. It is just the intimacy that comes from our groups and the discipleship and the personal growth, the spiritual growth that happens because of it. It's just, I mean, it's part of our DNA. It really is. It encompasses all of our core values. It really does. It just says, we before me, like I'm committing to be a part of this, even though there's probably 1,000 things that I can get done in the span of this hour or 2 hours that we're going to meet for our groups. Yeah. I'm committed to being a part of this with other people. I'm never going to stop growing because I'm committed to my spiritual growth. I mean, it's just everything. It really is. It's everything. And I'm really excited because it seems like the break between the end of the school year to like where we're at right now, whenever we kick off, like after Labor Day, our groups, like I'm chomping at the bit. Like, I'm really chomping at the bit to
everybody
to
from my groups are like, when are we starting? Can we start early? And I'm like, well, we could, but we need to wait until, groups officially start before we start a study because we don't want to be in the middle of something that somebody else new comes along. And so, but yeah, like so many people are like, have messaged me over the last couple of weeks. Like, when are we starting again? Can we start sooner? What are we doing?
Yeah. It's one of the things that it just kind of opens your eyes to, and I know that we do have some groups that meet over the summer, but it's like, okay, what can we do that can maybe expand this just a little bit more? But it's exciting because there's so many people and new group leaders that are stepping up into this. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, obviously we talked about just how important this is, but what is groups, even though you oversee it, you and Leslie kind of like co-lead this. I mean, I know she does a lot of it. Yeah. But what do groups mean for you? What do groups mean for your family? And just some of the ways that maybe you've seen growth in your life come about because of you just attending a group, and I know that you and your husband lead a group as well.
So what was the first part? What do groups mean to me?
Yes.
That was a lot of questions. Groups, personally, for me, just are really that way to discover community with other believers, and sometimes not believers. Like sometimes people join a group and they're not a follower of Jesus Christ in the beginning, but they may turn out to be by the end of it.
Yeah.
But it's just a way to discover community with other people who also want to grow in some way. Groups here at Southridge Church, like we would say that same thing for as a church. Like groups are the way that you can discover community here, that you can continue your spiritual growth and development. It's kind of the main way that we see ongoing discipleship happen outside of a Sunday morning. Because Sunday morning, if you're coming for just an hour and that's all you're doing, it's definitely not enough. But then what happens within groups is that connection between other people together, but we're also connecting with God in the midst of that. And so it becomes like this little mini church is what I feel like. The church is is the believers. Like, it's the group of believers. But so in a church, that's more than 20 people, you can feel very disconnected. You can come on a Sunday morning and feel like you never really connect with anybody. And this is the way that you can come in a small group of people and feel like you get connected with one another, where you can share your life struggles, your joys, your anything, like from the best to the worst. You can come together and you have a group of people that are with you, that are praying for you, that are concerned about what your kids are going through, that can show up for you when you need meals after a surgery, that can help you with a baby shower when you have no idea what to do because it's in the middle of COVID and you're like, well, what do I do? You like
moving furniture.
I mean, yeah,
there's so
exactly.
much.
Like they're the people that are going to show up for those things and know about those things. They're going to know when you're moving. They're going to know if you've got a big decision to make as far as finances. Like if you treat groups in the way that they should be treated, then you're going to have those people in that group of people to surround you in those moments. Because really, like huge decisions in life, I mean, in the Proverbs and things like that, it's like it talks about having wise friends to talk to you about those decisions and about those things. Like you're just setting yourself up for a better spiritual journey, really, is what you're doing. I know, like, was it last fall, whenever you guys were in our group, like we did a little combined mini birthday party for your daughter and my son. Like, and that was so fun because that's like the kids that my kids are closest to, really. Were those kids that we play with every single week at group. And so, well, that they play with, I'm not playing with the kids. But, I mean, sometimes in the past I have, like in the past at times that we've had groups, we didn't have childcare and kids were too young. So we would just rotate between us of who's going to sit with the kids and be with the kids this week. So that way, you could fully focus on what's going on, but it's a way to just dive deeper and grow more together. And special interest groups, maybe you don't do a whole lot of that kind of thing, but you are still coming together with like-minded people around a common subject or a common interest. And you're still growing together in some way. And so it maybe doesn't have quite as much spiritual side, but it's not just about that for those groups. Like that type is a way, it's a really kind of a simple way, an easy in for some people who maybe aren't so sure about regular groups. Like that could be a great start for someone who's like, well, I like hiking. I'm not sure about sitting around the table and discussing my struggles with people.
Yeah.
But I'll go hike and I'll go meet some people and be like, oh man, these are cool people.
Yeah.
And I feel comfortable with them. And so maybe that opens me up to being okay with one of the study groups, which does deal with more of the spiritual side of things. And so
now for you, groups were a way for you to get really plugged in here at church, correct?
Yeah.
Like whenever you and Anthony were dating,
Yeah.
he, like, one of his non-negotiables was like, I don't do anything on this night because I go to groups.
Yeah. Yeah. We were dating and I worked in restaurants. And so like, I didn't always have Sunday off or the weekend off. And so I would come up on the random days that I did have off. And I remember the first time that I came up, and I think it might have been a Sunday night. Maybe I got my shift covered and I was able to come up, or I don't remember exactly, but I was like, hey, I'm actually off tonight. Like, would it be okay if I could come up? Like, we could hang out. Because I lived in Huntington, he lived up here in Charleston. And so we would see each other typically on the weekends or like whatever time that we could get together. And so sometimes it would be like 2 weeks in between seeing each other. We talked on the phone a lot. And so that night he said, you can come up, but I'm going to group. Like, I have my group tonight and that's what I'm doing. You're welcome to come too.
Yeah.
But that's what we'll be doing if you come up. And I said, okay, cool. So I came up, we went to these people's house. It was the Turleys. We went to their house and it was probably one of the coolest experiences that I had, like, in that group. I never felt like the odd person out, even though like I was somebody brand new to the group. These other people have been meeting together regularly for a while. I'm, one of the regulars' girlfriends, but they don't know me. Like, but they still shared their struggles, their heartaches, their things that they wanted to be prayed for about. And I sat in that circle with them. And they did that special thing where we prayed for the person beside of us and went around the circle. And I got to pray for the one person who they'd been struggling to get pregnant. And I got to pray for her and then find out later, like, that she was pregnant. And so it was just a really special, cool moment because I thought, like, they could have easily been like, well, we have this new random person in here, so we're not going to share these things. Yeah. But they allowed me to be a part of that. They invited me in, never made me feel like an outcast or anything like that. And I got to then share in the joy with them later on. And so just a really special moment. And from that point on, I was like, I want to be a part of groups here. Yeah. But that's been, my husband didn't even always come on Sundays. He came on Wednesdays a lot. Didn't always make it on Sundays until like we started dating. But he went to group on Sunday. Like, even if he didn't make it to church on Sunday because of work, he would make sure that he went to group. And so that was something that he just was a part of his spiritual journey and became a part of mine. And we've continued in groups since then. So
yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's just like, I remember whenever we showed up here, and obviously like the first year is just like a whirlwind for anybody whenever they step into a new role at a church or whatever, especially if you live so far away from family and you're really trying to find your rhythm the first year that you're in a completely new state. Yeah. With all that other stuff and, kids' school and whatnot. But it was the second year that we went to y'all's group. And I just remember, like, whenever we first showed up, it was like, okay, like, you don't know what to expect. Yeah. And so there's a lot of different questions that go through your mind, and like, how much can I really share? Because, I'm on staff at the church, and if like there are issues maybe that I'm like trying to work through or something like that with my job, I can't really say all that much just because I mean, it's just, you just can't. It's just
right. Because even though like things might not be that bad, like, but it's still something that you're trying to work through. Like if you mention it, people are going to be like, oh
no, they're
gosh.
shutting the doors.
Like, you know, I mean, it's just,
You're
it's
like,
just
dude, I just
different.
can't figure
And
out how to
so-
work the coffee machine yet.
Yeah. Because I will say like because I attended here as just an attender and then a volunteer before I came on staff. And I will say like, it was a very different experience from what I felt like I shared before then as after. And so like we as pastors have to have something else outside of that for those types of conversations and those types of struggles. But like,
but there were there are things that you could still share with people, even if it could be work related, you know, like, hey, I'm really thinking about this and this is where I'm trying to lead this to go in this certain direction. You know, will y'all just pray with me? Because one, it just kind of opens the door for people to pray for you, and it kind of gets people excited about what may be on the horizon and what's to come. But I just remember just being able to maybe, like, we talked a little bit about marriage and just what that looks like and how we could be better spouses. We talked about our family and our kids and, you know, just maybe some issues that they may have been dealing with at school.
yeah.
And I just remember every single time that we were leaving group, I just remember whenever I got in the car, I was just like, man, I'm really glad that I made the decision to do this because one, my kids were having fun and they were building really good friendships and they are excited about going. And then two, like I knew that there was things that were changing inside of me that were bringing me closer to Jesus with that relationship that I have with him. And then also like getting a better understanding of who he is. Yeah. Because in all walks of our Christian life, we can all get a better understanding of who God is, but that doesn't change the relationship aspect of it. Like we can have a really deep relationship, or what we seem is a deep relationship with someone, but if we don't know anything about them, like they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And so like I just remember every time we left, I was like, man, I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad I took the leap just to do this, even though it was on a Sunday. Yeah. And Sundays are just like they're super long for us on staff because we wake up so early. We're some of the last ones to leave. And then you try to go home and get a power nap in and
and it's one of those, like, even when you're exhausted, like the times that you go, I don't think I've ever left from a group and been like, man,
I should have stayed home.
I should have stayed home. I wish I wouldn't have wasted my time. Like I've never felt like that, even though maybe I felt that way on the way there. And I was like, man, I'm so tired. I really don't want to go. Is this going to be worth it? Like, you know what I mean? I might have those thoughts on the way there, but when I leave, I'm like, nope, I'm glad I was here. Yeah. I'm glad I made the decision. I don't think I've ever left not feeling that way.
Well, it's one of the easiest ways to be distracted by things is just let everything else in your life kind of almost take the steering wheel, so to speak. And that's just not a coincidence. There's always going to be things that are going to be pulling against you whenever you're trying to grow in your relationship with Jesus. Yeah. Because there's so much at stake. Yeah. And so making that commitment to just say, you know what, I want to live out that core value to where I never stop growing. And my pursuit of Jesus is always going to be number one in my life. Yeah. Even in the moments where things are just not working out, or I've got 10 loads of laundry I got to get done before tomorrow, or just whatever you have going on in life. If you just say, look, I've got to stay and I've got to make that commitment because I want to be a better Christ follower, you know, and it's super beneficial. Yeah. It's so rewarding whenever any change that you make in life, you know, like the dentist is always barking at people to floss, right? Yeah. In all honesty, how many of us floss on a regular basis?
I have started.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
but I am
even though it's a
36 years old. Like,
yeah.
I'm 36 years old. It's taken me over 30 years to develop that habit on a more regular basis.
And that's what I'm saying. But whenever and it's a pain because you go to the grocery store a couple of times and you get home and you're like, dang it, I forgot floss again. You know, and I know that this is what the dentist has told me to do, and I just keep on forgetting it. But I know that I need to be doing this. It's the same thing with us trying to grow closer to Jesus. Like we know we should be doing these things, but whenever you make that decision to start doing it, then a month later you're like, holy cow, I haven't missed a day of flossing yet. Like this is amazing. Yeah. Like my dentist is going to be super proud.
And
can you imagine
your
what
teeth
Jesus
feel better during that time? But like what I love, like what I'll say to that is that, you know, the dentist doesn't just tell you to. They typically give you a little bag that has a little thing of floss to start you out as well.
Oh, my kids already ripped the whole thing out and it's all over the house.
I don't let them have it until we're home. But like they try to set you up with the tools initially for what you need to do what they're telling you to do. Yeah. And I think groups are like that for us. Like we're telling you from a stage most of the time, like, hey, you need to be in community with other people to grow your faith. And so groups are part of the tools that we give you to help do just that. Like we don't say, hey, go out and find your own community or go out and do your own Bible study. Although some people do that and that's amazing, but we know that that's hard for a lot of people to do and organize and, you know, and do successfully. So we try to help develop the group leaders and create the groups to give you the ability to do what we're asking you to do. Yeah. And if you take those tools that we're giving you and actually do it, you're going to see progress and some good things come from that. You're going to be healthy spiritually. Your teeth and gums will be healthier if you do the things that the dentist tells you to do. And so, I think just remembering like, hey, we're not just telling you to do this. Like we have 26 groups this fall.
It's the most we've ever had, right?
In my knowledge. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been here on staff for over 10 years and I had to add new insert holders in the next steps room for this fall because we didn't have enough spots for all the groups. I was like, oh, and I didn't realize it until I was putting them all in there. And I was like, oh, well, we don't have enough spaces. I need to order more things. Yeah.
But it's a great thing. One of the things I like too about groups here at Southridge is that we have one for every day of the week. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously there's going to be certain things that are more focused. You know, there's women's studies. We've got a meat church, you know, if you're not really into, you know, learning about barbecue and stuff like that. Yeah. You know, we have age specific stuff as well. And we've got some specialty groups, that are, but there's something for every day of the week and to where we've even gone out of the way of trying to help alleviate excuses. Yeah.
Like helping to provide childcare or, you know, like,
that's one of the things I like too, because there's a lot of churches that still do like Wednesday night activities at the building. And so we still like on Wednesdays, like we have a lot to offer, through a wide range of topics. Yeah. But we still provide childcare because
kids classes.
Kids classes. That's
on
right.
Wednesdays, your kids will have class.
Yes.
Like the elementary kids typically use that time to practice for Jingle Jam, like they practice their songs and that kind of stuff. But there's something for your kids here, whether that's because I know even last year before they started practice, because they usually don't start practice till October. So this first few weeks they do some kind of spiritual development type class stuff with them. And so and the younger kids have that. And so we offer that on Wednesdays. We have 6 groups that meet up here on Wednesdays. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 groups that meet up here on Wednesdays.
7.
And no, that one's Youth Nights isn't here.
Oh, okay.
But Youth Nights runs in a time frame that you can drop them off, get here, and then when you end with enough time to go pick them up by the time Youth Nights ends. So we ran it that way on purpose. So that way, even if you have a teen who wants to be a part of Youth Nights, you can drop them off, get here, go back and get them in enough time. And so like we've got, grief share, which is one of those more of that seasonal kind of thing. Like if you are in a season where you have lost a loved one, that is a great option for you. There's, Scott's Book Club, Pastor Scott's Book Club, where you go through a book together and talk about it. There's Catalyst, which is more of your traditional Wednesday night kind of church thing, like where somebody teaches from the Bible, and there is some of that, like, prayer, and occasionally they discuss what they were taught, but it's more of that sit in to like a church type service. And then you've got the marriage group, and then we're offering the Find Your People women's group. We try to offer a women's group almost every day of the week, so that way, because that's one of the ones that we get questions about more than anything. Like women want a woman's group, and so we tried to offer something like that every day of the week, so that way that is covered and you have opportunity and options for you in that way. And so there are quite a few on Wednesday, which is really cool. I think the other thing that I'm excited about is we have talked about a men's group for a really long time, because we have 2 women's groups who meet up here at the church on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
And a lot of times their spouses don't have something to go to, or their significant other doesn't have something to go to, and they feel weird going to some of the other groups that maybe have mostly couples. But so we have a men's group that's meeting up here on Sunday nights at the same time. And they're going to be going through a study by Craig Rochelle that involves more of your mind and thought life, and will help a lot in that area. And so I'm really excited about that one. I think like your park run that you've started to try to just help those who want to get a little healthier in life, it's a great option for
also to help myself.
Yes. You wanted to do it personally. So you were like, why not offer this for other people to come and join? And I think it's that kind of thinking that helps us to continue to grow what we're offering as groups. Cause it takes, like, there are people who have, some interest or want to do something. And it's like, wait, I could do this and I could invite other people along to do it with me. Yeah. Like, I'm sure that there are more people than just me who want to get healthy. Like, it's that kind of thinking that I love. Like there's a Monday night Bible study now that started over the summer, and it was literally like someone, because we don't offer a lot of our groups during the summer, which may change in the future, but like to do a shortened session during the summer for those, because it is a long break, and we obviously, like we've said, like people are like, hey, when are we starting back, because they do miss it. And I know, like, typically we just don't do it over the summer because we know people have vacations and all of those things, but like typically you're only gone maybe a week out of the summer, 2 if you're really lucky. But so you're only missing 1 session. But anyway, so she wanted something over the summer. She asked a couple people if they'd want to get together and study with her. And this was an organic group that started over the summer that has like 12 people in it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they just got together and started studying the book of Acts. Like, really, like, it's awesome, because it's that kind of mindset to say, like, hey, I really want to do this. Maybe there's a couple other people that would be interested in doing this with me. Yeah. And you ask, and you'd be surprised at how many people join. I mean, we've got the adventurers who go and do hikes. We've got the snail mail group. They meet once a month on Saturdays. It's the second Saturday of every month. And they send out mail to people, like whether that's a birthday card. Like I know I've gotten handwritten cards of appreciation to staff, which is always an encouragement to us. But they do 100%. They do different things like that for people, because there's just something like it's not often that you get a piece of mail like that anymore. No, in this day and age,
it just says like, wow, you took the time, you thought of me, and you went and grabbed this. Like, this is amazing. Yeah. And so that's what, that's what they're about, is doing things like that. We've got over 50 crowd that meets together every month for lunch. They're just literally like,
I feel like there is something for basically everyone. If you want to improve your finances, we've got a group on that. Like,
Yeah.
We've got other exercise groups. We've got all the groups that go through and like study further into what, like, they discuss what's talked about on Sunday.
Yep.
Because I don't know if you're like me, like sometimes you walk away from a Sunday sermon and you're like, man, that challenged me, or maybe that brought up a question for me. And groups is a safe place to be able to ask those questions or to share about, hey,
yeah,
like he said that we should be doing this. Like, that really challenges me because I just don't know if I'm there yet. Like, and being able to have a place where you can discuss those things regularly instead of saving them for like, or asking for a friend series.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because I would venture to say, if I have a question about something this week, I'm not going to remember it come when that series comes around again.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But groups offers you that place where you can have those discussions.
If somebody wanted to find out more about our groups, where can they go? How can they sign up? And all of anything group related.
So you can go to src.life/groups, and that will take you to the main groups page where there will be a button that you can click to view all the groups. But then there's also a form there to where, like, if you don't see what you're looking for, or maybe you're like, oh man, I didn't think that I could start a group about something that I like to do, then you can fill out that form.
I'm telling
And
you,
I'll
I say this every single year. Somebody's going to start one that's like a crocheting or a knitting group.
We have literally, the groups coordinator, Leslie Smith, and I have literally had that talk before. Do you think that there would be like a knitting group, like somebody that would want to do that, or like sewing?
Heck yeah.
I love the show Virgin River. I don't know if, anyway, a new series or season just dropped, but they have like what they call their sewing circle, and it's this group of ladies that they just get together and they sew together. I don't, it's not for everybody, but I think like things like that, even it may seem silly to some people, but like I see in that show the community that they have, and like I'm like, man, that's cool. Like, because they're not just sewing, like they're talking about their lives and their struggles and their stuff like that. But like, so I don't know. I think you might be right. Someday that could happen. But yeah, so if you're interested in creating your own group, or you don't see what you're looking for and you want help to find one that's the right fit for you, like just fill out that form and we'll follow up with you. That's really the easiest way. But if you have the Church Center app, then that
it's real easy.
Yeah, it's real easy. It's one of the main buttons on the app is the groups, and you can view them all right there. Any groups that you're a part of will show, and then you can click on study groups or special interest groups to view the other ones, and it's real simple. And so even if, say a couple weeks in, you're like, you know what, I hadn't joined a group, but I'm really interested now, and maybe my kid's not in sports now, so I have more free time. You can go in there at any time and view our groups and get connected to a group. And I'll say, like, whether you are in a group now or not in a group, Church Center app is a great tool for you to use, just because it's a really great way to communicate between groups. It's a great way to connect to the church and different things that are going on at the church on the regular. But src.life/groups or Church Center app is where you go for that.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it. I've been praying for it for a while, and I just hope that this semester, term, whatever we want to call it, is just awesome just for everybody. And then that momentum just continues to grow, continues to build off of its success over the last couple of years. And then we just continue to see more and more people that just want to go take that extra step,
Yeah.
So, all right. It's time for some meat.
I almost forgot about this.
Why did you almost forget
I don't know.
this?
It's been right there, but I was like, oh, we're ending. Like, it just felt like we were ending, which we ended the group's discussion, but like, I forgot that we weren't fully ending.
What's one movie you are embarrassed to admit you enjoy?
One movie that I'm embarrassed to admit that I enjoy?
Yes.
I don't know that I'd be embarrassed by.
Well, whenever you tell people you're like, yeah, I like this movie, I guess the response would be,
like there might be some that I'm like, oh, as a pastor, I probably shouldn't like that movie.
yeah, don't say those, Cheryl.
Stop looking at me like that, Anna.
Yeah.
No judgment here, okay?
Yeah. I would say, like, if I don't know, it's like something that if it's on TV, I'll stop and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I go out of my way to like, okay, I don't wake up one day and go, man, I need to watch this movie in the next couple of days or so. You know, like there's because I try to watch like the Star Wars once a year. I try to watch Lord of the Rings once a year.
It's so much time.
It's not so much time.
It is.
But it's just, look.
I know. Listen.
There's a lot of things people do that's way worse than watching those.
Embarrassing movie. What movie?
The original Muppet movie.
Oh.
I don't know that it's embarrassing, but it's I don't know. Anna's looking at me like, yeah, that's pretty embarrassing.
Just because other people think it's embarrassing doesn't mean that we do.
Well, it came out whenever I was like a wee lad.
Listen,
a tiny kid.
Like, I don't care. Like, I like the cheesy Hallmark movies. I like.
That's embarrassing.
See, you think that is? I don't care. I mean, listen, a couple people from this church, we like to get together. We didn't get to this past year just because there was a lot going on. But usually we get together and we have a Hallmark Christmas movie night, like where we get together and we watch the Hallmark Christmas movies that are on TV, and we have like pizza or fun food. Like I got the Hallmark truck plates and stuff the last time we met together. Our one friend got us leggings. I got us shirts. Like,
how many movies do y'all watch?
I mean, I don't know actually that we watch very much of the movies because we typically just end up talking a lot of the time. But we just the last time we got together, I was there until after midnight. Like we were there for hours.
That is pretty embarrassing.
I'm not embarrassed by it though, but
I would be.
But okay,
I could write you a Hallmark movie right now.
I still love Mary Poppins.
Oh, that's a good one.
See, I'm not embarrassed by it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like that was probably the one that I would think like that's a movie that when I was a kid, I watched it like every single day. My brothers would get home from school and I'd be watching it. Yeah. And I would like I watched it not long ago. I watched the new one too not long ago. And
I didn't care for the new one.
I know, but my kids were like, "This movie's so boring," and I was like, "Shh, I love it. Get out of the room if you don't want to watch it." Like, but like I love all the Disney movies still too, and we'll go back and watch. Like I tried to put on the new Little Mermaid, and Anakin threw an absolute fit yesterday, so I didn't get to watch it, but I did see that one in theaters also. So, but yeah, I don't know that there are ones that I'd be like maybe a little ashamed of if I like.
Tell us.
You told me not to. Like, I'm not necessarily ashamed, but I'm like, there's a lot of bad things in that. Like Step Brothers. Like there are still just some really great one-liners from that movie that I just love. Like, did we just become best friends? Like,
yeah.
You know, it's not appropriate though, probably. So.
Yep. Thanks. Guys, no, but really, in all honesty, really thank you for just sharing a little bit of like what groups mean to you, and we just want to encourage you. Like, it's not make or break, but we understand the importance of it, and we just want to encourage you to go to src.live, download the Church Center app.
I mean, I might think it's make or break.
I do too. I'm just trying not to pressure people.
In a church our size, if you go to church here at Southridge Church or any church over, let's say 100, I mean, honestly, like my best friend is at a church in Huntington that maybe they hit like 75 every week. They have some groups, and I'll still say like they think the benefit is amazing. If you are in a church of any decent size, you will not feel connected. And you will not, like, you will not have the people that are close to you that you can have there in those moments when you need them.
Yeah.
I think groups is one of those things that sometimes, I'll say this last thing. I know we were trying to end, but I think it's one of those things that you do not for the good moments in life, but for when the bad moments come.
Oh, yeah.
Just like reading our Bible, praying, it's easy in those good moments to maybe not do those things as much.
Yeah.
Because we don't feel like we need them, but you don't do them, like you do them in the good moments, not for the good moments, but for when the bad moments come. And so to me, it is make or break, because if you're not doing it when life hits, when something happens, it seems catastrophic. If you don't have that community around you, you're going to fall flat on your face.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Good stuff. Don't apologize. Don't ever apologize whenever you drop bombs like that. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. We hope that you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next Friday for another episode.
Yeah.
I would be
Bye.
totally.
Thank you
I
so
would be
much for
totally
listening in
embarrassed
with us today.
The Hallmark.
We really appreciate it.
Well,
If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe
You're a
button.
human.
You can also follow us on social media, on
I know
Facebook,
that y'all can still hear
Instagram.
me. I'm telling Cheryl.
You
she
can
should
also
be embarrassed.
watch the video version of this on
it takes
YouTube
a lot
as
to
well.
embarrass me.
All you have to do is search
I
up
thought
the
somebody wasn't on
Pastor's
stage last time,
Potluck
but was,
Podcast.
and I still
From
don't
all of
really
us
care.
here, we want to say thank you, and we'll see you next week.